So, um, to say that this hasn't been a good series for the Sixers against the Knicks would be an understatement. The Sixers are down 3-0 to the Knicks. They are in danger of being swept. Um, the Knicks, for however long this series continues going forward, will have the closeout opportunity against the Sixers, and they will, have the opportunity to eliminate the Sixers for the second time in 3 years from the playoffs. The series has not gone the way I expected it to. We have not been able to match the Knicks' energy, be it the players or the fans. It just hasn't been good. I said that I felt like we could we could beat them in 6 games. I really did think that we split the season series with them, and the one of the games that we lost was a fairly close game. So I mean, I wasn't crazy in thinking that we could compete with the Knicks, especially after matching up and taking the final 3 in a row from Boston. So, I mean, I had my reasons for thinking that we would have been able to match up better with the Knicks to this point, but here we are, down 0-3, facing elimination from here on out. And they've outplayed us. Joel Embiid did not play in Game 2. Game 2, well, actually Game 2 and Game 3 were both winnable games for the Sixers. But Game 2 was probably the game that we could have had because we were ahead for a good chunk of the game, and we just let it get away from us there in the end. Game 3, the Knicks did not have OG Anunoby. He was out with a strain, I believe it was a calf strain, I think. And that boded well. That looked to be an advantage for the Sixers, but they couldn't capitalize on it. And the Knicks fans taking over Philadelphia again, taking over the Xfinity Mobile Arena again, just absolutely disgraceful to have Sixer fans be run out of their own arena, have a takeover by orange and blue. It has not been a good series for the Sixers. It has not been a good series for the Sixers, particularly for guys like Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey. I talked about how proud I was of them after the Boston series, and I am. I am very proud of them. But Tyrese Maxey, who I called the leader of the team, the captain of the team, has not played well in this series. I mean, let's keep it a buck. Tyrese Maxey has kind of wilted under the playoff spotlight. He has not played well, and I mean, some of that could be attributed to expending so much of himself during the series against the Celtics, going so hard and making sure that we were in a position to win that series in the first place. He played a big role in that, and so some of that could be just fatigue, coming off that series, coming off that grueling 7-game series, and the Knicks being fresh after completing their comeback series against the Hawks. But I'm not going to use that as an excuse. The Knicks have just outplayed us for the last 3 games, and Jalen Brunson, he has outplayed Tyrese Maxey for the first three games of this series. All of their role players. Karl Anthony Towns, even though I wouldn't really call Karl Anthony Towns a role player, he's the second best player on the Knicks after Jalen Brunson, and he has held up his end of the bargain, playing the Robin to Jalen Brunson's Batman, and he's been great. But the other role players too, Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby with that huge game too, Josh Hart. I knew that the Knicks were a good team, and I knew that it was going to be a dogfight. I knew it was going to be challenging to get any kind of traction on them because they're so well coached. They have a history. They've been playing with each other each year leading up to this season. They've had their playoff runs have gotten a little bit more deeper, so they're more experienced than we are in the playoffs, and it's starting to show. The Knicks, just like the Celtics, on paper, are a better team than the Sixers. They're a deeper team than the Sixers. They're a more experienced team. They're a more complete team. All of the above. The Knicks just have really, for the most part, run circles around the Sixers from the beginning of this series. And that's why they're in the position that they are in now. To close it out and complete a humiliating sweep of the Sixers. Now, everything points to the Sixers not winning this series, whether it's losing tomorrow afternoon, losing Game 5, or whatever the case is. Everything says that the Sixers will not win this series or won't have a chance to get back into this series the way that they've played. Just the Knicks hustle and their heart and their grit, their performances from their stars, our lack of performances from ours. Everything says that the Knicks are going to win this series and probably going to win it tomorrow because the Sixers have just not matched the Knicks' hunger to this point. And I won't lie, I've been very disheartened by the performance of the Sixers to this point. And everything that I just mentioned tells me that the Sixers will not win this series, that they won't even be competitive for however long it goes, that the Knicks will probably finish us off in the worst in 5 games. Everything says that Knicks will put us out to the pastures and will finish us off within the next couple of days, possibly within the next 24 hours. So that's what everything points to. There's no reason for me to believe that the Sixers will come back. And yet, as I sit here with this recording, with this segment, that's exactly why I'm not going to give up on my team. First of all, because there's still one more game that has to be played. I know it's cliche. I know it's stubborn or half full syndrome. But I mean, at the end of the day, it still remains the first team to win 4. The first team to win 4 moves on. The Knicks have won 3. The Sixers have won none. History says that coming back down from an 0-3 deficit is almost impossible against a team that's as experienced as the Knicks, against a team that has a MVP candidate in Jalen Brunson, against a team that many expected to be in the NBA Finals this year. But I'm not going. I'm going down with the ship, man. I'm going down with the ship. I'm going down with the red, white, and blue Titanic. I'm not going to give up on my Sixers, even if everybody else does, even if all the pundits, even if everybody says that, the Knicks are far and away the better team. Let's get ready for the Eastern Conference Finals. Even if Spike Lee is celebrating and doing the most on the sidelines, even if all the celebrities on courtside at Madison Square Garden, even if everybody is saying that the Knicks are going to run away with this series, which to this point they have, and their fourth win is a foregone conclusion at this point. Not me. And even if some Sixer fans are saying that the fourth win is all but in the bag, I'm not going to do that. I've been watching sports too much. I've been watching playoff series too much to recognize that you can't just write a team off, especially when it's my team. I just watched my team come back from a 3-1 series deficit against a team that was significantly better than them on paper, against two bona fide stars, maybe even superstars. I watched them come back from a 3-1 deficit and fight and scratch and claw their way back into relevance in that playoff series and ultimately win the deciding game on an opponent's home floor and move on to the next round. I've seen it happen. I've seen teams blow 3-1 leads. I've seen teams blow 3-0 leads. And I've seen them push to the brink to a Game 7, and anything can happen in a Game 7. And in Game 7, anything usually does happen. Anything and everything. So the likelihood of it is small. The likelihood of it is extremely small. But there's still a very small glimmer of hope for the Sixers to find a way to get back into this series. And their history, at least for this season, is that when the Sixers' backs are up against the wall, they respond. When they were struggling along throughout the regular season, and they just could not put together a string of wins to avoid the play-in. They were relegated to play-in action, and they fought their way to get into the playoffs by taking care of Orlando and getting into the playoffs. When they were down 3-1 to Boston, coming off of a ridiculous, humiliating 32-point loss in Game 4, when the series was pretty much all written in ink for as far as a lot of people were concerned. I watched him come back from a 13-point deficit in the potential closeout game to rise to the occasion to win that game and then force and ultimately win that seventh and deciding game. So maybe this is how it's supposed to be for the Sixers. Maybe this is how everything is supposed to work out. Maybe they're supposed to have their backs on the wall, because when they are, when the chips are down and it's time for something to happen, this is when the team seems to respond. Now, 3-0 is, teams don't come back. They don't come back from 3-0 every year. This isn't a regular occurrence. Usually if a team has a 3-0 lead on somebody, the series is over in 5, maybe 6 games, but it usually doesn't go beyond 5. So history is against the Philadelphia 76ers once again, as far as trying to make this a competitive series. History is not on their side. But sometimes history is meant to be challenged. History is meant to be pushed. History is meant to be rewritten. The Sixers, I don't know how many teams have come back from 3-0 deficits or 3-1 deficits twice in one season. The Sixers have that chance to do that now. It's probably hasn't happened ever. I don't know the history of it like that, but to come back from a 3-1 series deficit and then to come back in a 3-0 series deficit in the same playoff run, probably I would venture to say that it's probably never been done before. This is what's in front of the Sixers right now against two championship contenders. This is what the Sixers have an opportunity to do. And you could not pick a worse set of circumstances to do it. Two incredibly rowdy, passionate fan bases. It was challenging enough trying to do it against the Celtics. But now you're talking about having to do it against the Knicks, and to see the way the Knicks fans have just invaded Philadelphia this year, this past game, and in years past, you're talking about essentially playing for. If things continue the way they've been, you're talking about playing almost 4 road games, because the Knicks fans, they just completely drowned out the Sixer fans in Philly. They will drown out the Sixer fans in New York. You're talking about having to deal with that once, go back to New York, win that game, come back to Philly, win that game, and then go back to New York and then have to win that game. Now, it's not like they're traveling across country. It's not like they're going to have, flying all over the place. I mean, it's just a short trip up 95. But I mean, it's still traveling. You still have to contend with the travel time and the fans too. It's just a ridiculous scenario for the Sixers to have to overcome. And yet, that's what they're going to have to do if they want to advance, if they want to take advantage of this opportunity. That's what they have to do. They're going to have to win 4 consecutive games in order to advance in the playoffs against a Knicks team that is hungry, that can smell, that can taste the blood in the water. They're going to have to do almost the impossible. That's what it is. The Sixers have no choice. They have no margin for error. They cannot be off their game, not even once. Because if they are, their season will be over. And who knows? We go into an off season of uncertainty. The questions, as soon as if they lose even one of these games, the questions will begin that night. It won't even begin in the morning. It will begin in the following day. It will begin that night. Within 5 minutes after the game is over, the Sixers cannot lose. They cannot. They cannot mess up, not even a little bit. But it's not impossible. It's extremely unlikely for a lot of people, and I don't feel great about their chances. But I'm like I said earlier, I'm going down with the ship. I'm giving them a chance. They have a chance to do something and to be really special. And it starts in Game 4. One game, one half, one quarter, one possession at a time. That has to be the mantra for the Sixers going forward. Don't rush anything. Don't think about Game 5. Every game the Sixers need to play from here on out needs to be treated like a Game 7. Every game in this series from here on out needs to be treated like a game 7. Like this is the final game of basketball that they'll ever play. Because in a lot of ways, it might just be for some guys on that team. It might just be, at least in a Sixers uniform, it might just be their final their final game of meaningful basketball that they might ever play. So they have to take it slow, and they have to look at they have to put each game in its proper perspective. They can't rush anything. They can't overthink possessions. They can't they can't have mental mistakes. I saw a lot of mental mistakes happening over these first 3 games. Just bad passes, guys falling asleep, too many easy backdoor cuts to the basket, guys missing their assignments, stupid fouls, bad shots. We can't have any of that. We just can't. Everybody has to be on point. Everybody has to know what they're doing. Everybody has to know their assignment on each individual possession. They can't rush anything. They gotta take their time and try to find a way to play the game on their terms, because the Knicks have been taking it to us, and they've been pretty arrogant about it, them and their fans. And they're going to look to put the final nail in the coffin. I know they don't want to go back to New York. They want to finish us off right here. And the amount, in my opinion, of disrespect that has been hurled in the Sixers' direction needs to be responded to. We need to fight back. We need to punch the bully back. New York's been bullying us, and we got to do something about it. We got to do something about it. We got to respond like someone who knows what they're capable of doing. We can't go out like chumps. We can't go out like that. I don't know what's going to happen in this game tomorrow. I believe that the Sixers can do it, but they have to believe that they can do it. They have to believe that they can do it. So many of the Sixers' problems over the years in the playoffs have just been mental. It's not like the Knicks are so much more talented than we are. I mean, we've got talent too. We've got all-stars too. We've got guys. We've got an MVP candidate. We've got someone who did win the MVP award. So I think that we can match their talent, but the Sixers need to believe that. Otherwise, it's going to be a cakewalk for the Knicks. We got to respond, man. We got to respond. We have to do it. Otherwise, there's going to be a lot of narratives written about the Sixers, written about certain guys, and I can almost guarantee that most of them are not going to be good. We got to take it one game at a time. Don't rush anything. Like I said, one game, one half, one quarter, one possession at a time, and just go from there. Don't think about game 7. Don't think about game 6. Don't think about game 5. Only worry about game 4 and not trying to get swept on your home floor. That's what the Sixers need to do. I believe they can do it. They have to believe they can do it, and I think that they will. I think they're going to come out and play inspired basketball now that they know that their season is on the brink. I believe that we're going to get a good response from them, and we're going to see a spirited, valiant effort in order to extend this playoff series by another game. We'll see what happens. I won't say that I'm excited to see how they respond, but I am interested to see just what they do with this opportunity that's in front of them. Game 4 is tomorrow. I'll have my thoughts on if they lose. I'll have my thoughts on that. But if they win, I'll be happy, and I'll save my end of season thoughts for the Sixers. Hopefully, for another for later on in the future. But one game at a time. I gotta tell myself that one game at a time. One game at a time, and let's go from there. Don't rush anything.